Cochran, billed by Sister Christie, who said was sick.
That's right.
Mrs. Graves is not here. Mrs. Rittenhouse here. Miss Charity Wells excused. Mrs. Armstrong, Miss McGee, Mrs. Stanley, Mrs. Burns. You didn't hear from her, huh?
No.
Miss Fitzpatrick, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Langford, and Mrs. Peacock here.
Miss Rittenhouse is here.
Miss Smith said she's going to try to send somebody.
There's Lewis, and Miss
Action on minute.
Well,
As circulated, two
yeah,
of them.
they all got it in there. I move that be accepted. Is that a first?
It really has been a bad day. You just, the minutes being approved is read as circulated.
Right.
More or less unanimous consent instead of a motion. But you didn't get a second anything or over any minutes.
But a motion is needed.
No, by general consent she can do it. See, the minutes will approve the second.
Here are no corrections. Oh. Okay. The only communications that I have at this point, there's some under new business later on. I wish to thank you all for all your help with both the state convention and with the clinical sessions. I really can't thank you enough for what everybody and what most of the members of the 5th District have done at these two meetings. I really do appreciate it. Is there a report with the Secretary? No report. Report of the Treasurer, Ms. Adkins.
Sister Christian asked me to read you hers. We got one in this morning, but of course there was no time for us to make that one up. We bought, this is for September, balance brought forward from August was $2,238.96. Receipts for membership dues $378.26, and one subscription for $3, total of $381.26, which made a total of $2,620.22. And the disbursements were the usual disbursements: the rent $71, salary $513.12, telephone $60.49, printing $49.14, postage and mailing $86, supplies and operational $29.06, AJN subscriptions $7, taxes $164, and miscellaneous was $163.75, which totaled $1,143.56 dispersed, leaving clear in the bank $1,476.66. Checks out total $79.99, which agreed with the bank statement of $1,556.65. We had deposited the $3,000 on savings that we knew we were going to have to draw on later, but at least to try to make interest on it, and that gave us a total of the $4,587.24 in the Atlanta Federal savings. And the checks out totaling $79.99, $15, and Ms. Burns has one of those, and that was given out last May. All the other sections have cashed that check, so we have to carry it every month. So you see, we wanted to cash it. And then one for $37.99, and the AJN subscription for $7, and one check for $20. And it does agree with the bank statement. We have had to withdraw some during the month And as I told some of the others present, when I got that bill from the Royal MACD, $374 or $72 this morning for our punch cards, we're going to have to cut down on some of our other things. Our printing bill has been entirely too high, and I want to tell you why when you get your audit. In January, we had to print our own cards, you know, those dues notices, because they were lost in the mail and we had to have them. We have had several unexpected things that we've had to print and to get ready on printing. Now we're having to go all over again with our little folder as well as our new procedures, which ANA has changed. They claim that this is going to be the one they're going to stay with, so we hope that all that unnecessary and additional will not be encountered for next year.
Thank you. Report of the Executive Secretary.
I don't have your written report. I'll tell you, I've been to 3 conventions in 1 month's time, and it's been a real busy time, because when you're out of the office, the work continues to accumulate. We haven't had any new members since then, except this one thing. This morning, we either had 3 or 5, and all of them in obsolete forms, that old form. We'll discard all other forms, and here are your new ones that they'll send us as a statistical card, and all monies except payroll will go directly to A&A. So please, while we're going to need the dues, and I did talk to A&A about it and about the expense, and they say they're going to have to fight for survival. So all of us are going to have to go to work on membership for next year. It's a must, if A&A or if the 5th District continues. We have been busy, and tomorrow I'll go in and get out your 1,200 invitations. They just came in just as I left. I was calling the postman, and he says, we're going to put these on the bulletin board, and then the others, little folded invitations. The dinner's kept down to a minimum of $4, which we hope will be enough to find. And here's some more of these if y'all want to put the bulletin board. The program committee will tell you about it, but in case she doesn't come, it will be at Emory on December the 3rd. So we won't have a meeting Thursday. So this takes care of the program meeting. It was the earliest it could be scheduled. We met last Tuesday rather. And it will be, they hope to have a nice dinner, and will not have a speaker, but they're going to honor the people who've been in nursing 50 years. And Ms. Alt just called me and gave me about 8 or 9 nurses who have had 50 years that will be invited to be our guests. So as soon as we get the invitations out, then we must get our applications to the hospitals and get to work on membership and clearing out the office. I mean, we're busy. We're up to date other than that.
Is there anything else, Carol?
I don't know. I tell you, I was disappointed to remember that. First, I tell you, we did represent you at the Retired Officers Convention down at St. Simon's. We had 2 nurses there, Army nurses. One of them is now head of the Atlanta Retired Officers, and they are going to feature her in the AJN. They called me from New York and said they would. And then the next one, of course, was our state. And then this one, we manned the booth from 8 o'clock in the morning. Miss Rittenhouse can tell you how busy we were there. And one of the things we got for them, we couldn't furnish the coffee. They wanted 45 cents a cup to serve it, even when Coco was going to give it to us. So we got these little coffee candies from Davidson's that cost 35 cents a pound. And I want you to know they just went over real big. We used 50 pounds. We had just about that many left. And everybody would designate the meeting places by the candy jar. But they said we went all out. I took all the releases late in the afternoon after I found out Messenger was charging them from $3 to $5 for each letter. And that was about $90 each afternoon. So after 3, I take them to the Journal and all the big televisions and so forth. And they said that we had gone all out as far as making them feel welcome here. While they didn't have the numbers of people they wanted, they only had about 850, I believe. I don't know that's the exact number, but approximately. But they felt that, and there was talk about us getting the convention. I talked to Mr. Brewer and the convention manager, and it's on the drawing board that we will have more accommodations, enough for, I don't know what they're going to do, but to accommodate 10,000 delegates. So they're hoping by 76 that ANA will come here. I hope so.
At the one.
Listen, now, I should have sent them to the state. I'll tell you while I'm on the floor, they came to me, Miss Rittenhouse was there when it happened, and told me they wanted me to go to the office and do some typing and get out 600 copies, and I think it would be about 4 pages. Well, I am not that good a typist, and it takes about 5 or 6 hours to collate 2,400 sheets of paper, and I don't trust the key, not that I don't trust all the girls, but as long as I'm responsible, I would have to go, and I was supposed to be there between the booth and the press, and office. So I suggested Miss Monaco, and they did. They went on out. In fact, her car was blocked, and I kind of felt like they expected me to give them my car, but I didn't. I just picked up a piece of glass the day before and flat tire out there. But to make a long story short, what I should have done was send them to the state. But I didn't see anybody from the state office down there except Miss Ditchfield in the time we were there. And I felt like, well, we're the host district, so to speak, so if it's something important enough, the only thing I know to do is call Miss Monaco and ask her, can she do it for the girls? And there was a 4-page thing of resolutions done, and I think it's going to cost us some money. But it's the only thing I knew to do. Miss Rittenhouse, could you have given me a better suggestion what to do? Because I couldn't go, and I wasn't going to give somebody the key. And it sounded important, didn't it?
That's why we didn't really know what it was. It was
No.
sort of...
Then I heard afterwards there was controversy about it. But anyhow, if it is, it needs to be out. The district did their part, and I think it'll be about $30 worth. So with your permission, we won't print your menu for the the dinner. We can just cut down on that since it's going to be informal, unless somebody gives us some more monies. But I did think you ought to know that the district did do it, and we filled every wish they gave. Everybody that went on tour was sent on a tour in some of the cars from Atlanta, any place they wanted to go. In fact, we even found the Specklebird, the office for that. That was a big request, and Miss Pope found it while I was out looking for it. I was on the way to WSB. No, they said get them 3 copies. It's important. So I saw this little girl, and she came across the street and stopped the traffic, and we got them 1 copy of the Specklebird. But we did.
For that group?
But I don't know what group. I don't know. It was a young group, and they went to the press room, and Miss Warner asked me, said, well, if you can get 1, says get us 3. So I don't know. All I know is we filled all the requests, and our girls did really well, and you'd be amazed to know the thousands of different types of questions and requests.
I bet you had some views.
While I'm on the floor, let me tell you one more thing. This is the little list while we were at the Georgia State, and I have some witnesses on this. We knew we need more committee members, and the group, most of these, not all of them are from the DeKalb General Hospital unit, who say they have plenty of time and will be glad to help us stuff papers, do anything, serve on committees, and work in any way they could for the association. So I called Miss Monk to see if any of them would specify any of the specific committees that they'd like to serve on. We'd only had one that asked for legislation, and we already had filled that committee. And she called me last night, and she did get the members of these young people, mostly general duty and administrators, to consent to serve on the committees that you may, if you wish them to serve.
Now they are not working at the hospital now, they are
Not at the, well, the 2 of them, I tell you, they can't go to 4 o'clock meetings. We invited them to the program meeting because you didn't have one person there besides the chairman. And they had said that they'd be willing to help in any way whatsoever. So we invited them. But 2 were on night duty who live above Duluth and did not, we got typed list. They are on night duty and could not come in at 4 o'clock. One of them was sick and one of them was out of town, and 2 had moved. And I didn't have the correct addresses, but she's given them to me. And they said not to worry, that they'll help you any place you want them, any time you want them. And
These
be
are
willing to
names
work.
of students that would be helpful.
They are
except
all
to send
general
them
duty
nurses.
or administrative.
Oh,
They're all
nurses.
graduates.
Oh.
We'll get to their names
Yes.
under the old unfinished business. Complete our committees in a few minutes.
Okay.
Let's go on to the reports of the standing committees. Bylaws.
Ms. Owens.
No report?
I haven't called the meeting.
Miss Wells is not here. Finance is not here, Mrs. Monk.
She had not received a card, but she did consent to serve as chairman.
Mrs. Rittenhouse, do you have anything on legislation?
We have not had a meeting. I will be out of the state for about 3 months. And I'm not real sure who's going to take over while I'm gone. But anyway, I think Miss Bromley is pretty well up to date with what's happening in the legislature, and I think she can take over if there's anything needed in January.
Membership, Mrs. Lott, I know you have something.
The membership committee's worked very hard getting this drama.
Drama underway.
No, frankly, we have set up our orientation meeting for the 20th of November. We're going to ask, we felt that since there were so many changes, that we would like for them to understand the technical part of joining as well as the necessity from the point of view of professional growth. So we are meeting on the 20th to have an orientation meeting. Our executive is coming and we're going to invite Mrs. Dix. Of course, you are invited to all committees and we'd be happy to have you. But we hope that we can have a discussion of our duties at this time. We are going to ask several other people to meet with us because we feel that membership is not just the job of this committee but everybody's job.
I would just like to add that we all approved the budget at the state convention for this year, and in order to operate on this budget, we've got to do something about a membership. Really have to work hard.
This will be a surprise to our president, the next person's name down there. This morning we were trying to get in touch with some of the people who volunteered. If you recall, Miss Laura Minozek had volunteered to serve on any committees. We were unable to get her, and about this time one of our members called to see about her dues, which she had sent some time ago, and so I asked her would she be willing to go to work. So if you elect her, she says she will chair your Emergency Health Preparedness and National Defense Committee when you get to that. I put a question mark by that.
Okay. Oh, well, there won't be any report from this committee then
No.
because we don't have a chairman yet.
No.
Programs is Mrs. Crawford, and do you want to?
I've got a quick resume on this, trying to do it with the telephone ring, and they did meet, and as I told you, they had, Miss Crawford was there, and Cheryl Schofield. They had invited Miss Bischoff because they had wanted to do a feature on Miss Vanderbrady, and AJN said, well, you've got to make it newsworthy, you've got to have something. So they thought at this particular meeting, during the golden anniversary, they could have enough in honoring all of the members who had been in 50 years in nursing that it would make a special feature. So they did schedule it for December the 3rd, and the theme for the meeting would be 50 going on, I put 52 here, but I mean 51, going on 51. And then they would ask that several of the people would go ahead and, instead of having regular speaker, that they'd relate some of their most memorable experiences, some of the embarrassing or frustrating experiences, and some of the most satisfying, or anything to highlight during their golden years. And the one suggested, in addition to Miss Vanderbrady, was Ms. Alberta Sauls, Miss Rose Davis, Miss Ruby Falls, and Miss Charity Wells. You didn't realize it till afterwards, but those last three were all from Emory, but later on it turned out that Miss Wells had only had 47, and she's going to be out of town, and they wanted Miss Davis to concentrate in January, since her name is in the cornerstone, so decided not to invite her, but instead that they would have Mrs. Gertrude Campbell is a person that was participating during those refresher courses, finished in 1914, and then Miss Fitzpatrick, who's still active after 50 years, so they will be your four participating guests, and the Miss Flynn and Miss Crawford would go ahead and conduct the meeting, and that we'd have two, you don't know about this because I just finished typing it, but ask you to get 2 from your 1970 graduates to also participate, so we could have, you know, the tomorrow as well as the yesterday, and Miss Gamage to play, and Miss Schofield will take care of your reservations, and the rest of the details we'll work out. They thought that they told me to look at little gold pins, and the only ones that I saw that I would have at Rich's today at noon were $8, and to be engraved, that we present those to those on the program, and then either a bonbon dish or a little bowl to Miss Vanderbrader. Well, the only thing I found down at Rich's was a beautiful little jewelry box in gold that's a music box, and so that will have to be worked out. But anyhow, they plan to have a nice dinner on December the 3rd at 7 o'clock, and your invitations, beg your pardon?
Oh, I wasn't taking notes, I was gonna look at it.
You wouldn't, all right. This, I'll give that one to Miss Crawford when you have it, and then I'll give Miss Crawford one. You keep that one.
Okay.
And any rate, they just have a little informal dinner, but make it reasonable enough that we would, in addition to having enough to pay for the dinner, have enough to pay for the awards. I think if we put that nice poster on all the booths and $4, I mean, that isn't bad at all. They said they'd give us chicken with wine for less than $3.
At Everett?
Mm-hmm. Fried chicken buffet, $2.75, I think she said. I haven't talked completely with the menu. I just talked over the telephone Wednesday so I could go out and get it to the printers as to how much to charge. Ms. Norman.
I think you all worked real hard on it. This committee worked with just a few people there, so I think the board perhaps should ratify the program.
I think so. There was
as
not a
outlined.
quorum. There was not a quorum, and
For our
it's
own
just
protection.
the 2 people are the members. So if that's,
So I do need a motion.
I move we ratify the action of the group. That's so
excuse me.
The motion that we ratify the program as outlined has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? We then, as a board, ratify the program as outlined by this committee. Okay, public relations, Mrs. Simmons is not here today.
She's going to be asked to do the feature and to get in with the club editors and see if we can't feature several of these people during that time, newsworthy, you know, as far as our golden anniversary, and to help us with the AG and story.
Okay, she will be notified.
I'll get in touch with her, if not tomorrow, no later than the next day.
The reports of special committees, Mrs. Lott, do you have a report for the Joint Health Commission on area-wide
I
plan?
didn't know whether you had submitted my name as member yet. Have you done that? Huh? Well, I guess they haven't had one. I've been to one meeting in the meantime, but I went to represent Dr. Benson. And so far as I know, I mean, I haven't heard from him as our member.
I'll check. Thank you. I do not have a report on the Model Cities program. I was out of town when they had their meeting.
There is a meeting pending that I've been notified, but it's to all people, members and alternates. See, it didn't state whether I've been Dr. Benson's alternate so often, and Ms. Garland said I didn't know what, but it's coming, so I'll have a report next time.
Okay, fine. This is going to be quick. Our section president. Report of the section. Mrs. Burns isn't here. Is there any representative from EACT?
I'm a representative, but I don't have
No report.
what?
Mrs. Fitzpatrick on administrative.
Well, we are going to have our Christmas dinner on the 2nd of December,
You're gonna have a busy week.
We really are. And we have planned a program. In addition, we'll probably dispense with business, and we're going out to the Fernbank Science Center for their program that they have out there. After we have dinner, I believe at Wesley Woods. That's where we'll have it. And this is we make this a little festive for Christmas, this dinner. I believe that's all right
When
now.
is that? When is that?
2nd of December, the day before this dinner that we have for the district.
Mrs. Smith on general duty.
Called me and she talked quite in detail. They have gotten someone lined up, a preacher and 2 or 3 others on a panel. It seems that Miss Simmons has been with the program as program director. And they are going to meet, and they are going to have some people, even patients who've been on drugs, that are going to participate. And she wanted to bring in and not whether or not we could do anything for them financially, and I told her we couldn't. And refer them to the rehabilitation vocational, because, I mean, you can't solicit money from a group, from a meeting. It would be embarrassing too, I mean. And said some of the girls very, very sympathetic with this particular couple who've had those problems. But we have a lot of needy nurses and all, and I thought maybe if I could tactfully steer her away from it. But at any rate, they are going to have a panel on drugs. And theirs will be too in the early part of December. She's going to ask the occupational health and mention asking the EATC section if they'd like to come too, so they can have a real big meeting. So we'll be here more often.
Thank you, Carol. Mrs. Langford isn't here from occupational health. Mrs. Peacock, public health. The unfinished business, the one thing that we've got to do is today complete the committee.
I think you have
We need
and it's
one person on the finance committee.
Did you find the little list that I typed for you of the people that volunteered for those?
Carolyn, did you say Gloria Minasek had agreed to serve on anything?
I couldn't get her, but
Well, she's
Sarah
always at
Goss-
Grady. I don't know.
Well, I couldn't get her this morning. See, I only
Well,
called this
she
morning.
may.
No one answered. Called 3 or 4 times.
Well, I'll see her tomorrow.
Well, we need to finish this tonight.
Yes, I
We've got to
know.
get this done and get this list out to you. And Sarah Goss, who rooms with Ms. Monk, seemed to be a very nice person, said that she would like to serve on the finance committee. Now, Ms. Monk called all these girls that volunteered and asked them which committees I told her what we needed. And I just gave her the list of the people that had consented to serve, and these are the people on the list that she gave me of which committees they would like to serve on, if you would like to have them. And Sarah Goss volunteered for the finance committee.
Well, if she works as hard on that as she does on her nursing assignments, she'll do well. She's a good nurse, and she's a good organizer. She worked at Grady. She's not working there now, but she had worked there. She and Miriam. What's her name? Marion.
Marion said, may I read them the people? They might like to put them on some others. She said that Marion Monk is the one talking. She said that she would be on the nominating committee, and any others that you couldn't get filled, or wherever you wanted, or even if she was on just the one, whenever you needed her for anything else, programs and things like that. And we did ask them to help serve as hostesses at the meeting on the dinner. For the emergency health and preparedness on there, we needed a chairman, and Ann Rosenau, I think she's just finished her program over at Emory, and wants to get active. And I said, well, why don't you start off right now? Although we were going to select some, would you be willing to serve as chairman of this committee? She said she would. And also Mary Osmond was one that was contacted, said she'd like to serve on that one. And for programs, Frances Perderman and Linda Feely. Linda is general duty, and the other one is administrators.
said that they would like to serve on program committee. Those are the 4, and this is the first time in 10 years that you've just been down to needing 1 or 2 on the second meeting since we've been
Which
down.
committees are not filled?
That's it, finance,
Finance.
nominations need 1, 2 for the emergency, which included a chairman, and 2 for the program.
And Miss Rosenau has agreed to chair the Emergency Health Preparedness and National Defense.
She's a very energetic young lady. I'm sure she would.
Now, there were some others that said they'd be glad to work on committees. Marjorie Sawyer, Barbara Hayes, they also volunteered, but I didn't contact any of them personally other than talking to Miss Monk, because I needed somebody to tell them they didn't come to the meeting of the program committee, although we invited them, and not a one came, and I was real discouraged. And then when she explained, that they could not go to 4 o'clock meetings since they were on night duty and lived above Duluth, but they would be willing to help. So she volunteered to see which the ones the others would serve on if y'all wanted them. No one has, in other words, they may have some other suggestions there. But we need to finish them now so we can get them typed up and get them going.
Okay. We need 1 person for finance, and Miss Goss has volunteered. Is there another person that anyone could suggest for a member of the finance committee? Shall we?
She has consented, why not?
Okay, we
Accept her.
We accept her as a member then. Miss
I'm sure she
Sarah
would be,
Goss.
I'm sure that she would do a creditable job.
Miss Monk has accepted.
And you needed a general duty to be represented
On the
that one.
nominations committee. Shall we add Miss Monk to that list of names?
I would think these people are volunteering, it would seem
Okay.
to me, unless anybody knows otherwise.
She's not gonna be able to serve.
Who? Betty?
No, Miss Mason.
No, she won't be able to do this.
Mrs. Rosenau, if I hear no objection, let's put it that way, will be chairman of Emergency Health Preparedness National Defense with Mrs. Mary D. Osborne as the member. And the program committee, we needed 2 members, and Mrs. Frances Perdaman and Mrs. Linda Feely have agreed to serve on this committee. And if I hear no objections, let us accept these people on the committee so we can get them to function.
So you, if there's no objection,
Oh.
finish the serve will be elected.
If there's no objection, these people
She wanted to,
that
but
have consented to serve
You
will
already
be
have a vote.
elected to serve on these
you
committees.
might like to call on her.
But if she can't serve, Miss Mason can't serve, then there's another vacancy.
On her? Do you have to have that many?
No,
Mary
There's a
Osborne.
question?
well, one had asked to serve on legislative committee, and I don't think we're limited as to the number. It just says a
says at least
minimum of so
5.
many. And
Well-
Miss Mays is not able to serve.
If you'd like to put her on that, she said she'd be
So
glad
I'm
to do
glad
it.
to have anybody that wants to work.
Mary
Chairman
Osborne.
or director?
Uh,
At least 5 members. Does that includes the chairman?
Well, at least, so you can have more if you want.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will just get it then, won't
well, it would be
No, you had your
6.
5, but
We
that
had
would
5.
give you one extra one on there, and especially
It would take the place of Miss Mays, because
she
she's not
was
able
the
to
only
serve.
one that made a request when originally they volunteered. I told them, see, I didn't do the calling. I went ahead and told them the ones we needed, what vacancies were. And for the benefit for y'all, we did not get a reply from Wilmot Williams. Let me quickly tell you the ones that didn't reply so you know.
Williams?
Janet Calhoun did not reply. And no reply from Laura Lyons. Miss Edith Honeycutt consented out of the private duty ones of the 3 that I was to contact. Miss Hasty declined on the Finance Committee. All of them accepted on the Membership Committee. That's first on that. Shirley Hollis did not reply for the general duty one on nominations. Rosie White was not a member and was too busy and said she couldn't. She declined. Ms. Garland declined on the emergency help. So did Mary Stargell. And on the program, Madeline Haney declined. She said hers were too many duties already. We got Ramona Andrews. Miss Stanley did to agree to serve on the program committee. We didn't get a reply from Hortense Jenkins, no reply from Mary Knapp Leah, and Miss Melba had declined due to full other commitments. Thomasine Marshall declined. Other than that, all the others accepted after calling 1 or 2 of them that, for instance, Miss Monk didn't get a card, and 1 or 2 of them that
What was Wilmot Williams asked to be?
she was put on the bylaws, but she didn't reply.
And she didn't reply?
Ms. Ann Stroud did accept on the bylaws, who was an alternate for that, so that finished. And that would
But you don't need one for the bylaws.
That would complete all of you. needed at least 5, and you do have that many.
5.
1, 2, 3.
Do I hear you asking for
I
another
was just,
member?
no, I was just wondering if she wanted to serve, but I see she's been put on something else anyway, so, it just doesn't really matter to me.
Well, they said she was particularly interested. If you find my little card here, you'll find that she said, I asked was there any special. She said she especially liked legislation, so if you want her to serve on it,
I don't know, Jack.
We're not
I like to have
limited.
members that, want to work, and apparently she does if she's asked to be on. So I'd like to have her added to legislative committee. Is it Mary or
Mary.
Marion?
Mary.
Mary Osborne.
I've lost you now. Is Mary Osborne being added to the legislative committee as well as to the emergency health committee? Is that what you're
This
saying?
is what I'm asking, if she could be. They said they were willing to work. She had specifically asked for legislation, Mrs. Wells.
She has not asked for emergency health?
She consented for that when we told them the others were needed and the other committees were filled. We told them, I just gave her the name of the vacancies, the finance nominations and program and that other committee, emergency help. And she had contacted them and to see which ones would serve.
How active a committee is EHP&D?
There's a question at the state as to whether it's going to be too active because they
Didn't have any meetings last year.
Dan gets the chairman of that will be active. She's you make her chairman of that. She's a very energetic young lady.
Well, I think our committees were so slow in getting started. A number of them did not meet. For instance, that legal one didn't meet till just before the year was over, while I was vacation there. And then all of a sudden they filled that committee and wanted to.
You've got one that's real active and likes to work. Why don't we add to the membership committee? Because really this is the thing we've got to feature this year.
The only thing is that Mrs. Osborne requested legislative committee.
Well, these
And I hate to put it, I guess
Honey, I was just thinking there was one we hadn't fitted in as well.
No.
They were giving her extra committee.
we're putting her on another one.
Well, I guess I have 9 on here to accept.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got room for others as subcommittee members. Maybe if you got one from each of your large hospitals to work with you. Kind of a little steering committee there.
Ms. Rittenhouse has requested that we elect Mrs. Osborne to the Legislative Committee. What is your pleasure?
She's asked for it, and she knows she's on this other committee. She knows about the...
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I'll second that.
Okay, Mrs. Osborne then is elected to the Legislative Committee. As long as she volunteers. Oh, we got to vote on the motion. All in favor of Mrs. Osborne? You weren't getting any of those slips today. I knew something was wrong.
there haven't been any motions.
Yeah, there's been two.
Oh, I got one, I got one.
And on his, all in favor of Mrs. Osborne being elected to the Legislative Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So be it. We have now...
May I ask something while we're talking about committees? Just prior, or sometime prior to my going out of office, the chairman of the bylaws committee was given the bylaws of the public health section.
Rules, I have
The rules, rather. And, to my knowledge, they have not been brought before this board. I don't know whether she completed what she needed to do on them or not. But if I am chairman of the bylaws committee now, I'd like to know the status of that, because I do think we need to get the rules back to the...
You will be sent those, and soon as that's why I wanted this list. The minute I can get this list typed up, all committees will get a photostatic copy of the previous chairman, so they'll know what's going on, and any materials that are left over, and I have that in your folder. In fact, I had it in the one for the next board meeting. Then after your committee review that, as I understand it, they would bring it to this board with the recommendations.
They're
She
also...
review it, this is the point I'm making.
She reviewed it, but she didn't have a quorum at the
That's
meeting.
right. She's the
She
only
couldn't
one
bring it
that...
to us.
There's another hassle going on, too, with the
EACP had one.
EACT rules.
They haven't sent me theirs. They were working on it.
They're working on theirs.
They borrowed our copy and returned it, and are working on it.
This is real interesting, because some of their rules are in direct conflict with the 5th District bylaw.
And the fact that there's going to be changing, of course these changes in the state will not come about before next convention, but I wonder if there's any need of the bylaw, of our committee being too concerned about the 5th District bylaws until after state changes.
Off the top of my head, I would say no.
Then we're going to have a good
Then
time.
we're going to have a good time, just revamping the whole thing.
Imagine all the members here know that we did vote flexible membership.
Well, when does that start?
They said it'd take 2 weeks to set it up, and that's been 2
Is that
weeks.
all? Just 2 weeks?
You mean you can have a 12-month membership?
You start in right now, right in there. Just as soon as you can get these out, as soon as those that came in today, I can return them the monies. And I've already sent one of them authorized. She was being reinstated that in signing them. Y'all gave permission for Ms. Lawton for me to sign them on one of those little questionnaires or little self-mailer. And I've already mailed it today, Paul. So we start.
I had an interesting request a week from Sunday. A young lady who had not been a GSNA member called and wanted to know how she could get instated in the ANA so she could attend the clinical sessions free. This is on Sunday, and the clinical session started Wednesday.
Well, they weren't free either,
And the
too.
flag
Because
was
$25 for the time and
Surely
15 a
was,
day.
$25, wasn't it?
We were just flooded with calls about that.
Mhm.
Well, her agency would have paid her way if she'd been a member. I said, well, that's the luck, but there's no way that you can get instated in 3 days.
Well, you know, the only
did
person we let in that I know
exactly
about that, I
what
happened to be talking to Mr. Brewer when Janet Maurer, who participated on the estate panel, and she'd called about it and gotten fouled up with her to the transfer. So, he let her come on.
Yes,
Now,
that's what you get.
under old business, Margaret, would you report on convention?
I'll be happy to.
Cal, does that flexible membership only applies to new members?
Old ones go
You,
calendar.
You're on calendar year.
I know I am, but I've already sent my dues in for 1970.
We are, see, ours will be those 12. Reporting for the convention, I certainly would like to add my thanks to the convention chairman, Ms. Roanne Liggins, and I guess you would call it a subcommittee. We added people to the committee as we went along. I thought Roanne did a real fine job, and I have heard from many people that it was one of the best conventions they'd ever attended. We had the biggest registration, to my knowledge, that we've had. When I got to figuring it out a little bit more closely, I believe we had around 480 people at the convention. This included the exhibitors and guests, and either paid or unpaid guests. We had an income of $5,580.75, roughly, and this is fairly accurate, I would think. We had expenses of $4,205.30. We either had a profit of $1,375.45, or we had a profit of $1,774.05. Now, the reason I say this is I haven't gotten in my hot little hands $80 from exhibits and $318.60 from the social hour. I feel sure we'll get this, and if we do, I think all bills have been paid, including the state getting their 40% off the registration. And if this is so, we will have the profit of $1,774.05. There was some remarks made to the effect that would not return people who registered and were not able to come, or people who registered for a meal and was not able to attend. But I thought the goodwill meant more than those dollars, so I did return to those people that I know about the registration fees, and also certain meal fees. And we had, I think, 149 that paid their dollar to Underground Atlanta, and only 102 went, and only 102 was charged for it. So we made a little money on 2 or 3 little things, and yet we also paid for guest speakers that the state would have paid for if I had, held them too close to it. So I I think it came out real good, and
I'm
I
not
know
clear, I
this is
understand.
pardon?
I'm not clear, I understand. You said you also paid for a speaker?
Certain speakers that, Miss, Overton got tickets from me.
Oh, for meals.
Yeah, for me.
Oh, okay.
And to my knowledge, all bills have been paid.
Well, what about the social hour that some of the people who went have not paid for it yet?
No, the social hour was courtesy of, two groups, and I don't have it in my hand, the names. And the hotel billed the Georgia State Nurses Association for it. So what I did to simplify bookkeeping, and I'm the world's worst as far as, I don't know how to make out a itemized account. So I just paid the whole bill to the hotel, and if these two people who gave the social hour to companies reimburse us, we will have $318.
Were you gonna bill them and tell them
Yes, they have a bill.
Zimmer Schaffner Company sponsored the cocktails, and Aaron Rent said they paid for the hors d'oeuvres. And the hors d'oeuvres was $65, and the rest of it was for the drug company.
There's one exhibitor that has not, to my knowledge, paid, and then there's one that has paid, but I don't have the money yet.
They got $480, didn't they? About approximately that much, 500. I mean that Miss Davis had collected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more than 80, but there's $80 outstanding.
Did they charge us for all those meeting rooms?
No, nothing. This is what we can't understand. They charge absolutely nothing except for the meals.
Biltmore?
The
That's-
Biltmore.
That's wonderful. I wonder how many people we had
You know, they
registered
told
there.
us that the exhibit space would be $50 a day. So when it didn't appear on the bill, we called the Biltmore and asked them if there were any other bills, and we mentioned the exhibit space, that's all. So I'm going to be real chagrined, because I hope to close out the account.
Well,
as soon as
surely
possible.
by this time they would have sent us a nasty letter saying.
Well, actually, no, we called and asked because we wanted to be real sure about everything.
Or maybe they would bill the exhibitors for that.
They better know it. No, I
No?
shouldn't think so.
Well, I didn't know. I don't know very
think
much
you
about
will.
them. You certainly did a fine
I
job.
I bet it was.
You really did. I think it was the best
learned.
one I've ever been to. Really was.
Well, I think Ms. Armstrong, as well as all of the committees, Miss
Oh.
Davis, Miss Liggum, all of them did a magnificent
I
job
do
there.
too.
Was it too taxing to invite them back? I heard lots of people say, why don't we have it in Atlanta every year?
Oh, no. We had two of them, you remember, here and one side.
I know it, but that was a sort of just a coincidence, wasn't it?
If you retire, you can go to convention.
Well,
I had excellent help. I want to really say just, I was supposed to be just concerned with registration. And I'm afraid Ms. Garland doesn't know how much I called some of my nurses in to help me with it, the advanced registration. And then right there at the convention, they would ask help me. In fact, they ran it. I stood back and supervised.
It's a good committee to have. Under unfinished business, we really, as the board of directors and as the district, should do something about the gold bricks. $10 a member that the membership voted on for the building. And we are lowest on the totem pole, and we are the largest numbered district
district.
Now, let me tell you, that's something else. We spent about $300 in printing, working on that thing. I want to tell y'all about it. And I personally stapled 2,000 of those things in the directories and to the doctors, the medical associations, on that. We still have a few left over, if anybody wants to help circulate and all.
I know it's the wrong time of the year to ask for donations because Christmas is coming. So maybe the beginning of the year we can do something to really promote this idea.
Maybe do Nurse Week next year, we can have us a bazaar or have some kind of fundraising something.
I would wonder about this money, whatever we end up with. I know it's the districts, but I wondered since it was not budgeted as income or outgo, if it could not be used in such a way.
Well, I think we're gonna have enough bills right there, if that money helped pay for those, cards for recruitment and for the extra activities that the district has had to do to try to promote membership. Because we got the statement for that. He told us he thought it'd be about $200 when we ordered it. And the bill came in this morning, $372.04.
I wonder if it would be appropriate if we have all this money left over, if the finance committee be appointed to look into the dispersing of, would this be appropriate action?
Well, they're supposed to, anyhow, to be the people responsible for monies to present to the board for recommendations on it.
Well,
That's
The
more
spending of the
budget,
spending
as far as
monies for the district.
budget and this kind of thing, but this is something that Ms. Armstrong talking about is above, this was not income.
It's not income. no.
Income, you see.
If you wanna help the state, they need 800 members, help us with, pay for those things to help get members on that, and the state and the district would, benefit by it.
I would feel that this money is from the state convention, and we work, yes, but it's really not exactly where our budget usually comes from. And
I think there was good management there, usually,
I
and
think it
heretofore,
was headquarters.
they've always had,
Sorry.
Not to give it to them for anything, but to go on a building for all nurses in the state, something like that.
I mean, this is what I have in mind.
Well, let me understand what we're saying, because I really don't understand it.
we don't have to spend it right now, do we?
Paralegal budget, see, this is their job. and they decide
Could draw some interest
this-
for a year.
This district might take it away.
This is
Mhm.
money that came through attendance of the Georgia State Nurses
Right.
Association.
And
Well-
it's from registration, and there may have been a little left over for meals,
Well,
Which the district would have been responsible for printing and everything else had we not had good management, careful management. Heretofore, frequently, they'd have those big suites and tremendous amount of expenses and all in addition to.
you mean when there's a deficit, the district picks it up?
We would have had to make,
in some way, we
Yeah.
would.
You would have had to help probably, but the
have
state
to,
would have to go back
make it
and
up.
pay that. Because
Well, then
that's
it's
the
not-
state convention, if you just served as hostess, and after they looked through it, to be sure, then I'm sure they would come in for their part of what it would
But that
be.
would have been an assessment
It
from the
would have
state.
been- Uh-huh.
Now, we've paid the state.
But the state has been paid
Yeah,
their
the
40%, you see.
So here we're
More
left
of that.
with some money.
Oh, you mean, that's all we're supposed to pay them, is 40%? Oh,
and they
I
have
wasn't
some
sure.
left over too, don't they, Ms. Armstrong?
Oh,
Don't they have some left over too from what their expenses would been out of the 40%?
In the
Of the
state is
40%.
earmarked program.
See, where ours it's not earmarked.
That's the only way you could get your program going in the state was to take the 40% and put it into programs so you could have your programs at the convention that you actually wanted. Well, I can tell you one thing, we were down to $200 last year. And before we go into building funds on that, I think we might have some additional expenses or other things to come up that you wouldn't have to be in such a big hurry to appropriate it, would you?
Doesn't seem like to me we have to be in a hurry. We might, delay, you'd be willing to delay the decision as to what we do until you know whether or not, until all funds are in and everything's done.
Well, actually, it's not my
Well, I
decision.
certainly think that
My
you ought to
recommendation, I would like to see it
Well, I
go
think
toward
you ought to
building fund.
have some weight too, but I mean, that, you don't mean immediate action. Like today.
No, because I'm not sure whether it's gonna be 1,300.
Yeah, let's wait till you know what.
The thing is, though, I would hate to throw it just into the pot.
Let me tell you what
Uh,
happened. Fifth District had to send, since I've been in that office for the state, we have had to send out every ANA card, and that was state business. But it was started by the Fifth District, and we had to pay all the postage on ANA cards until we started on this computer. That was extra monies for us. The district has had to do about 90% of the work for the state on nearly every one of these things, and a lot of these things have cost us money, unnecessary money. We had forms printed up when they started on for the state. I mean, I'm not trying to be selfish about it on that, but I just feel that there's been many, many instances there when the district has had to spend money for the state. And where they've made more, they've got $21 coming in, and we only had 5 at that time. Then we raised it to 10. And we've had all the delegates' expenses to have to pay through the years. Is the reason the district didn't have any monies. So we can get some extra monies. I think we better try to have a little bit in the bank there for any of these emergencies that might come up. Because we had to print new things. I hated for us to have to do it. But we've got to have some system of bookkeeping down there. You just can't let it be hit and miss.
With those little punch cards, the initial outlay is pretty big, but I hope they'll last us.
Well, they'll last us 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. But again, it has to come out of this year's budget. That's what
right.
you're saying.
And we didn't include it in this year's budget on that, so we're going to have a time. We didn't include to have to go in there and print A&E's on 1969 dues notices. They were supposed to be sent to us and they were lost in the mail, but we had it to do. So we've gone far beyond our budget on printing. Now, we sold $400 for the directory.
And the money for the building fund should come from where?
Members, individual
Members.
members.
Individual. So we really have
membership
not got-
voted on $10 per person.
But we couldn't be
For the
responsible for
building
them,
fund.
but that's what we would advocate that everybody
Margaret.
do.
This was not, I remember this action very well. It's out at the County Health Department. And there was quite a bit to say about it. And it was not an assessment of $10 per member. We were pledging, hopefully $10 per member, and it didn't say how this money would be arrived at. And this is the only way we got that passed. In other words, we might get out and have a bazaar to make money. And I think that was sort of thrown at the Finance Committee too, to perhaps get out and make some money for this. If a donation, fine, but it didn't say we had to give $10.
I think this is probably a misunderstanding on part of much of the membership.
Your minutes are there, you want me to find it and read it to you there? Because that was, no, we could not assess the members of that $10. Luce, you were there, weren't you?
It was not an assessment.
It's not an
That's
assessment.
wrong. Was it a suggestion at the convention in Rome?
No, it was, the 5th district did it, hit the cab. And it was merely there that this would be the ideal thing, was like the convention in Rome said $10 per member for the building fund, which was started in Rome.
In Rome,
That
they
was
did
the
not, I
state.
know, because
But
I
then-
wrote my check that day.
Then in 5th district, this motion was broad enough that it would be ideal, and you could read it in if you wanted to, the way the motion was written, that each member was supposed to give $10, but it didn't say so, because the question kept coming up was, can we make money to put this money in, you see? And the way that motion is just as broad as it can be.
And here it is, at the 5th district membership. I remember that discussion on that we could not pledge it for the membership to be responsible, because we didn't have that much money then. Pledged $10 per member to the GSNA Building Fund by Miss Wallace and Sister Christian. It carried. They were hoping that every member would do it, but with the board and all the district could not be responsible. But see, we had,
I think we have 3%. That's pretty bad for 5th district.
Yes, it is pretty bad. When you think of it in terms of 1,100 members, though, and in terms of $11,000, it's almost phenomenal to me. And,
they're talking about the building fund, Miss Langford.
Now, there's a recommendation that we have to do something about, don't we?
Well, can we,
Have you made it? She didn't, she was just talking, I think, today, and she's not sure of all the money, and that's what she just said, we couldn't wait until January board until she'll be complete with her report then.
well, we're talking about something the executive committee thought the membership should fulfill, and the membership has not fulfilled it, right? Is this what we're talking about? We're talking about a pledge that the executive committee thought.
No, the membership did that motion.
Well, no, wait a minute. You said the executive committee made that.
No,
Pledge.
the membership is the one that passed that
It came
motion
as a
right there.
recommendation from the board, but the members voted on it, so at a 5th district meeting.
What they wanted to do was advocate everybody pay $10, but that the district itself or its budget would not be responsible for that amount.
The district could not say, we will give $10
We
per
didn't have
member
it.
because they didn't have the money to give, and they couldn't.
But she just read something from the minutes.
No, it
But
says
the
on that,
membership,
the membership,
the membership
they give
voted
$10.
this, that they give $10
Per
per member, pledge $10 per member. But see, it doesn't say how this money's gonna come in.
I think Ms. Flynn started off, we need to do something about the building fund, because this is hanging from last year. And we actually, I think we're talking about 2 things right here, but we haven't fulfilled
That's what I was trying to say.
what we pledged last year. Was that March, Merle, that we
March.
were over?
It was March. It is, this is March, it was out at your place in March.
I suppose everybody knows that they rejected the program that was outlined for the state, building a new building and renovating the old.
March the 13th was a regular meeting out at,
They
the
approved
cabin.
it? They rejected it?
Oh,
didn't go out because the, interest was so high and that
That's it.
the
Yes.
community was not
March 13th.
enhancing in value and
They wanted to still collect the money, but just
yes,
not
and
go
put it in a fund where to collect interest until something else can come up.
It took 8 months to clear the headquarters being where it is because it wasn't finished before, and in that 8 months' time, the price had gone up around $7,000. And
We
the
own
interest
that
had gone up,
building, so
yeah.
have we paid for it yet?
And your hippies had moved in and making it doubtful as to whether or not they wanted to save it for that or for business reasons later.
The interest had gone up to over 9%, and you would be paying, for $25,000 that you would have to borrow, you would be paying in $47,000 is what you'd pay back. So they said no.
And in the meantime, you've seen in the Atlanta papers that area is
While we're talking about money, before we make any decisions, I got a phone call from a Mr. Kaplan who's with Continental Travel, and he heard the 5th District was in dire needs of funds, and so we had a very interesting conversation. I was very non-committal about what we could do, but he has several tours. One is to Hawaii and one is to Caracas. There are money-getting propositions, and I don't know whether we want to do this sort of thing or not. Knowing nurses and what difficulty they have budgeting funds, I don't know whether this would work in this district or not.
We had one tour planned to go on the Italian line, you know. They gave us a half-page ad for it, and they didn't get enough people to go over, even with special and a great deal of publicity several years ago. We did not sponsor it personally. We ran their ad, and they were going to make up a tour, and then we had another one that wanted to go to Honolulu, and it fell through. It's been within the last 10 years.
Is the district took that action, the individuals wanted to do it, but as a state, they want to fool with it. Didn't I hear that discussion over, it was informal, but I think I heard that discussion over there. It didn't even come up before the board meeting.
I'd be a little hesitant, I think, right now.
Is anything in our bylaws or rules that says we can or cannot go into money-making schemes? We were discouraged by our auditors when we sold boxes of hose and things like that. And they told us for the amount of money, the profits made out of it, that it wasn't worth it, and we were jeopardizing our non-profit title on that and taxes and all, that we should stay away from them.
Yeah, well, then what can we do to raise money?
We can have a bazaar, we can have, we can have fundraising, things like that within the, they've had rummage sales.
The friendship dinner.
$4 is a very small
Yes, it
price
is.
to pay for a night.
Well,
dinner.
we've already gotten those ready to go out.
Well,
Y'all
I
want
see.
to pass a hat while you're there, or talk about it while you're there, but the reason we purposely kept it low is because they wanted full attendance and get people interested in coming. That instead of coming to the Marriott or coming on down here to Stoker's or someplace like that, some of them said they couldn't afford it with Christmas coming up, and that they wanted, it was discussed. That keep it as low as we could, and even then we are adding enough on that to pay for the awards. Maybe you can bring it up informally at the since it's out, we still have a lot of those little gold things. It'd be appropriate while it's our golden anniversary to,
All donations welcome.
yes.
Yeah.
Those friendship dinners have been so pleasant. I'm
that's-
not too sure.
Yeah, I'm having the same difficulty you are, Rose. I hate to bring up business at that type of meeting, because we are honoring the people that have been in service for 50 years. I really would have
Well,
to
every
say-
nurse has gotten one that gave us a correct mailing address in her directory, in the back. I personally stapled them there. It took me 3 weeks to get them out. And every one of these doctors, I hear we got a few from some of the doctors, of the 2,000 that we sent out.
Do I hear that your pleasure is to defer any?
May I make one suggestion? I put in there the nice little letter that Ms. Armstrong sent out last year at Christmas time. Now, if y'all want a calendar printed, I'm not gonna get no more printing done unless y'all tell me to do. I've got enough on my back right now to take credit or discredit for. But anyhow, if you wanted to send them a Christmas letter with the holiday greetings and tell them about the January meeting, it's going to be on economic security. I didn't get as far to tell you about that. What it is, it's going to be about it's stocks and bonds. It's something personal. It has nothing to do with the Georgia program. The stockbrokers, you know, the Merrill Lynch, Fenner, all that bunch. Well, they wanted to send one of their speakers to talk to the nurses on their savings and investments and so forth. It'd be a good time on that. So if you wanted that little letter I've got pasted at the back, if you wanted to send out a Christmas message, and as a reminder on there, you know, that we're still, as we end our golden year, could you do something like that and make them a special appeal? We still have the pledge cards. We may even have enough, 1,000 of them put in there and just...
That might be a good idea.
If you didn't want to bring it up at your dinner. Because we can put them a calendar and put them a pledge card. The spirit of giving at Christmas time is a nice time.
Give you $10.
With all the orphanages and all of those that send you for Christmas, you know, share. I hope they wouldn't toss it aside.
Well, now, that's a pretty little letter she had illustrated up there, the Christmas greeting, and it tells about the January meeting. Instead of sending a little notice, you know, or it gives a little...
Well, that I'm sure would be of great interest, but I'm thinking about the pledge card to give the money that, with all the other Christmas giving that people have to do.
We send out the calendar at that time too, don't we?
We usually do it in November or even December.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about is, could we cut down on some mailing costs?
Well, that's it. If you put it in
this
with it, it'd
and
be
the calendar
$60 per mailing.
together.
And that would form as also your meeting notice, which would be $60. So you can combine about three mailings
Three
with that one
mailings in
greeting.
one.
Well, put that...
Well, before we get off to business of what we've been talking about, this money is in a checking account. And I would like some instructions as soon as I can close out my report as to what to do with it. I'd like to close out this account because there's really no sense in it costing us money to stay in the bank. It ought to be where we ought to do something with it, and I'd like to be instructed what to do with it, even temporarily. In other words, since we're not going to make a decision on what to spend it for, what to use it for, what do you wish me to do with it?
The other funds are in the Atlanta Federal Savings, which were deposited there after they closed out, and then later they were deposited to the regular district funds, and our service funds were closed out, and all notes cashed in to survive on, and all that we have now are in the Atlanta Federal Savings, and checking a minimum amount in the Bank of Georgia.
If we put this in the savings,
You'd make
it means
interest on
we
it.
get some interest on it.
Yes.
This is what you're,
But we put 1,500, you see, 3,000 out of
Well-
what we had just to make interest on it.
Would you want to put it in I was getting the feeling it might not want, you want to put it in the general fund, though.
She could put in the savings, and if she wanted to put it in her name or in the district name as a special fund, it could be done, a new one if they wanted to, or if they wanted to put it in savings and not use it until it was.
The checking account is in my name with the addition of GSNA convention, so, because my own personal checking account's in the same bank, and I didn't want anything mixed up. But if I get on it, this might get mixed up, and I wouldn't want it to. So this is why I like to get it out of that bank into, I don't want it in my name, I'm through with it.
I would like to not make a motion, but just put this idea on the table for us to discuss. This is the first time I ever remember any excess funds being a problem. From a convention, it's usually the other way around. Now, I would submit that the two girls have done an excellent job. And I would think this, we don't want to cause a problem to any future district that has such a convention. We don't want to cause a problem by saying Atlanta did so-and-so and made some money. Now, two things will happen. One, we'll put a burden on another district to do as well. And the other thing we're going to have said we charge too much. Now, you know, this is just human nature. So I would like, I'm not making this suggestion, but I'm wondering if we have to settle this problem right now. First of all, I think we can take the money and put it in the saving bank as you're requesting, and we can, you know, get it out. I'd want this done too if I had my own account there. But I wonder if we couldn't delay the decision. I like to give the gifts that you were talking about, and I'd like for Carolyn to have a little security till the membership committee gets these 1,000 new members. But if we gave a gift to the building fund, they're not building it right now, and it will be something that could come from us later. But what about this? Why can't we make everybody happy by putting the money in a savings account so we can identify where it is later? But let's find out finally how much she's actually made, and we can continue the discussion at another time as to what we do. But as surely as we give it as leftover from the convention fund, we're going to set up a goal that others are going to have a hard time meeting, and we're going to finally have some people say, well, they charge too much.
Well, of course, the executive board sets the
Well,
registration
the
fee of the
regular
state.
member's not going to know that, see. This is just going to be discussed. They won't know all that. I wouldn't have if I'd been just an ongoing member without having been where you've been. And they won't know that you didn't have to pay for all those rooms and that you were as careful as you were. I want to give it too, just as you do, but I think maybe we don't have to give it right at this point in time.
No, I'm not. I need to get from Carolyn the account.
Well, we can just
The
put it
name
in
of
a
the
separate
account.
savings
Yeah.
account if you don't want to put it in ours, and just put it in another savings.
Well, I don't.
And then add more to it for next convention, or add more to it for building fund, or just have
We
it
can
there.
give it, we
Well,
plan to give it to
And
them
if you want to
later
have
on.
them, maybe when the enthusiasm gets a little bit more so, give something nice and add to it. I think all of us want to meet our quota. And there'd be no problem just to go ahead and open another little
Yeah,
account and
that's
put it
another
in
thing,
there.
if we give that, then all the the individual members may feel that they're not beholden to do it themselves.
And it's
So
the
we
members
would
throughout the
want-
state who have this collected.
Yeah, and it's
It's
theirs, not
theirs,
ours.
almost, not just his.
And then if you find out later on, we may have the convention again unexpectedly and not do so well, so.
Well, that is certainly true.
Doesn't have to be earmarked as any kind of fund except a special savings account.
Well, this would be my thought. I wonder, I think I would agree with what Merle said, but I would wonder if it shouldn't go into a special savings account.
Before the year's out, we can probably give it to them, but by this time, we'll have a lot more money of our own.
But I feel strongly that if we do this for the membership really has to come through. I don't
think any of y'all feel it quite as strongly as I do when we got down to 200 last year and notified all the hospitals and a soul come to our rescue. Sent them a notice we were going to close, and we had to get out and dig, and we did. We were fortunate in getting the year before last and gotten the 5,000 to keep going.
Well, let's come to some action about what to do with this money.
Madam President, I make a motion that the funds be put in a separate savings account at the request of the
All in favor?
You want that in the Atlanta Federal where our savings are, or?
She has
Doesn't matter to me, I just want to know.
Well, the district designated that our savings go in the Atlanta Federal Savings at our last special call meetings, that all savings go there, so.
Right.
You wouldn't want to be splitting them from one bank to another.
Let's not. All in favor? Opposed? And,
No.
oh, that's all right. And then we will defer action on what to do with this money until a later date when we find out how much we have accumulated.
This will be put in there now, you're not going.
No, we're not gonna borrow, we won't take from that.
Number two.
And we won't borrow from that at all. Leave it intact. We have 4,000 an hour, but we've had to take some out, 1,500, we're gonna have to take some more out before Christmas, before we get the bills, before that thing comes out.
Maybe we'll have a landslide of membership.
Well, if we get to work on that. Now, the other little brochure was no good to us now because you see they changed the procedure altogether. Instead of the monies coming to the district, they had to go to A&A. We had to have new brochures.
Yeah, well, there's this initial outlay again, you have to do it. Is there any other old business? Unfinished business? So it says there, I said.
I finally got careless.
But let's move on
Have
to.
we changed that to, should be old business instead of unfinished?
It's unfinished, but I would call it old.
This way we want it to sound, that the surplus funds from the 1969 annual meeting be placed in a separate savings account at Atlanta Federal Savings and Loan Association at the request of Mrs. Margaret Armstrong.
Do we want to say surplus or just say the fund? I wonder how we can,
Well, but you have to identify what
I'm
mean,
not requesting it be put anywhere. I mean, any particular bank, I'm just. Well, I didn't sound like we were taking it away from you. This was, at consent. You want consent?
Just
No,
leave it.
yeah, that's
alone.
fine.
Just leave it
That's
alone.
fine.
Just leave it alone.
And that surplus would all make it seem like we had more besides what we started with, doesn't it?
I would just say.
The money?
The money.
The remaining money.
The remaining money, that'd be good. They are, I guess they are surplus. plus factor.
To
anyway.
begin with,
Just a comment about this at our executive board meeting last week. Ms. Ditchfield did caution the members who are going to accept the convention next year that not to go in debt and overspend themselves. And even if they had to do a lesser job than we did, that was perfectly all right. This is new business, and there are 3 districts that are going to host, thank you, the convention, and it will be in Albany. It's 12, 2 and 14. 2 and 14.
And headquarters now are Garden, Texas.
What is it?
Districts 12, 2 and 14.
2 is the Albany.
And it is in Albany. And they're real excited about it.
It's an Albany, huh?
Right.
you think that
Always
president,
Their president's real excited about it. The other new business is that by December 15th, we have a deadline for candidates for the most involved nurse in this country, which will be elected at the convention in Miami, May 3 to 8. There will be 2 types of most involved nurses in the country. One is on the job, and the other is off the job. And we do need to come up with some candidates for this position. And since we will not be having a meeting of the general membership, I don't know whether you want to entertain the idea of an ad hoc committee to do this, or what?
this special committee, you can do special committees every time.
How does this go? Directly to ANA or through the state or?
It goes from the district to ANA, as I understand it. I
But
have not.
you asked for a copy of it, didn't you, if we made such recommendations?
Right,
That
right.
The communication be sent to
To the,
headquarters.
right.
And
And
screen those in February and March, the preliminary screening nationally will be done by the editors of the American Journal of Nursing.
You mean that each district has been asked to do
All
that?
districts.
All districts.
Then the state will
then,
screen it, and then it'll be nationally, and then when they get down there, they're going to give them a tour of Puerto Rico. And they do not have to be members of the Nursing Association.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Whether these people that are most involved nurse will either have scored accomplishments on the job above and beyond the usual, or will have made an outstanding contribution off the job in the community. We got through on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Y'all about through?
I got 2 more things. What's your pleasure? Somebody really needs to put some thought into this, and we do have some very active members, and there are some nurses in this area who've done an awful lot.
Did we say we set up a special committee or refer it?
I made the suggestion, but I can't.
Hold on with that. I make a motion to set up a special committee to handle this.
How would you like this special committee selected?
Appointed.
By whom?
So we could, what is someone's suggestion? I haven't been here long enough to know, do that.
Can the president go ahead and appoint a committee to attend to that matter?
we could ask each, section to appoint a committee, to appoint a member who would serve. How about that? Then we'd have.
It's gotta be.
Well, we've
somebody
gotta
from
do
15.
something quick, Merle, 'cause it's December
Well, could
15th.
you,
Oh,
you appoint the committee and let them submit?
Okay, the motion then, as I hear it, let's see if this is right, that a special committee will be appointed by the president to select candidates for the most involved nurse in the country. Those in favor? Oh, we need a second.
does this be, nurse in this district, or can it be someone outside of this district that this district's nominated?
As I understand it, it's supposed to be within the
Well, that's
district.
what I thought, and I thought it's not clear.
Make sure then, Barbara, we include within 5th district
Our nominee.
our nominees, right?
And she doesn't have to belong to the association?
No, that's
what
astonished me so. They want to
I'm
get them to join
surprised.
after, but she does not have to be. She's a person out in the community and politics, so.
Have you got a
Oh.
definition of what involved?
Well,
or
we
you going
have,
into?
we have some materials on that they've sent us out. One came in this morning, haven't had time to even read it. On about, being involved, here it is. A&A starts a search for the involved list. This was released October the 17th, but we got materials on it. I thought I'd save it for whoever's gonna be your committee chairman. If you didn't get one, let me know and you have it. If you did get one, why then?
I have not.
Oh, well, then you have it. This just came in this morning.
You got to have it by the time.
Oh, and here's another thing y'all like to know. The Association of Cardiovascular Nurses is being organized nationally.
Thank you.
That came in this morning.
Well, we have to vote on this motion first, okay. All in favor of, would you read the motion again? I forgot what it was.
That a special committee be appointed by the president to submit names
A nominee.
names for nominees for most involved nurse in the country.
And this motion has been seconded. All in favor? Opposed?
Submit names to, excuse me, to who?
Oh, should I put that?
No, I was just asking for clarification.
To the state. Okay. Now, technically, I am supposed to submit the names at this time of the people that will be on this committee. I would like to think about this at least overnight, and if you would allow me your approval to, at my leisure, come up with a committee sometime tomorrow, and just go ahead and get these people together rather than on the spur of the moment. Is there any objection?
If we can get a member who's, we can appoint a nurse who's not a member, you could get a committee person who's not a member, could you not?
Well, this is some special rules that they sent out, that she not necessarily has to be a member of the A&A. They're hoping to get her in as an A&A. She's such a vivacious type and person that's so dynamic and all that. I think they figured to get her involved.
Well, I was meaning this committee that Joanne's going to appoint could be just representative nurses that might know about this sort of person.
See, I would,
I think she would stay within the membership, though,
Yeah,
to be
that's-
clear.
that's what I
It's just recommended from the district.
I think the number of people on the committee, since you didn't limit me, will be 5. Is there any objection? And what I will attempt to do is try to get people from various backgrounds and from the different sections to serve.
Is this to be just one nurse selected, or was it two categories? One most involved on the job, and then did you not say something else? One
There's one on the job and one off the job. Now, as I understand it, there will be two people selected. Is that right?
I believe it is. We've gotten little fragments, and we haven't had a chance to go over it. The little bit we got today seems to give a little bit more. For instance, it tells now that the membership chairman in the district who meets a quota is going to be eligible for that group to get the special trip. Now, they hadn't brought that out before. They just said whoever does the most in membership. But in that pamphlet that came today, it says the membership chairman. So, Ms. Lott, if your committee does a good work,
I might get an
get a trip to
award.
Puerto
Yeah,
Rico
I
without
heard
that.
that.
Decide to give a pin.
Puerto Rico is the trip.
That'd be your luck.
It's a post-convention trip to Puerto Rico.
I think you can send in as many candidates as you wish. I don't think it just has to be two. I think if you
But
can
I mean,
send in
are
100
there
if you
to
want.
be two awards for these two
Right.
different,
There'll be two awards.
two awards?
But the selection panel will be from ANA.
That's right.
People from the AJN will make the final one.
Under new business also, we need nominees for the Mary Mahoney Award. You all know Mary Mahoney?
We have never sent one in during the time I've been here, but a graded nurse won it last year, and I got a letter from ANA asking me to try to get Ms. Martin Luther King to be a member of the panel. And they'd written and hadn't heard from her, and I called, and my secretary, by that time she was appearing on all the TV programs, and I never did get a chance to really talk to her. But after I talked to her secretary the second time, Ms. Warner had written to me and sent me copies of Ms. Luther King's letter. And the second time with her new book, they said she had already scheduled herself through 71, and she would not be able to serve on the panel. But at any rate, graded nurse did win it last year. She's in, Mrs. Miller was from North Carolina, and there's been some talk that maybe some of our nurses here would make good candidates for that who've done outstanding work.
When's the deadline on that, Carolyn?
It's now too. December the 1st, I think it is. Anyhow, we don't have another meeting. You know, I balled up at last meeting thinking we weren't going to have a November meeting in time. It's December the 1st. So here it is. For December 1, must be sent to the office of the appropriate State Nurses Association before December the 1st. States then are asked to send their nominees before January the 1st. And this Ann Warner, you know, that was here in Public Relations, is one that released this material.
I wonder
The Mary Mahoney Award is given to the Negro nurse who makes the greatest contribution and who does outstanding, and it's a very, very coveted award at the National Convention. I mean, it's given good coverage.
This has to be approved by the state, right?
Yes.
Do you think it's possible for this one committee to serve both purposes? Since they would be looking into people, they would have, I wonder if it would be possible, since our time is short.
I think it'd be a real good idea.
I didn't make a motion, I just felt
Motion.
that was a good motion. What would you have to do?
Is there any objection to this committee serving the dual purpose of selecting nominees for the most involved nurse as well as nominees for the Mary Mahoney Award?
I'm anxious, you know, to not delay closing, but I would be forced to say that it may be that only the Negro nurse knows the extent of what the Negro nurses are doing. And this committee might not know all the things that the Negro nurses do.
Well, I would hope the committee would be representative of all the nurses.
I would hope so. So
Yeah.
I would think, you know, if you have that in mind, it might be. I would not know as well as you would some of the things that are going on. So I think this is something that we sometimes
agree with that. Announcements. I have one that I need a ratification on because I've already done it. If you don't agree, I'm in real trouble. Miss Helen Pemberton is our representative to a multidisciplinary group who is evaluating the Southside Health Center. And Dr. Swerdloff called me one day and wanted somebody in 15 minutes. So I have appointed her to serve on this committee, who will be evaluating the nursing service, the dental service, and the medical service of the Southside Comprehensive Health Care Center. Miss Helen Pemberton. She's the EACT, and she is employed by SREB. And I need your ratification of this appointment.
Ratification of the action of the President regarding the Helen Pemberton being on the evaluating committee. Oh, goodness. I move the ratification of the President's action. And I'm considering the appointment.
No,
Okay.
just make an aside, oh, excuse me, you have to get, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your process.
All in favor?
I
We
just,
had no discussion.
I just wanted to mention that I was in Philadelphia at the American Public Health Association meeting yesterday when it opened, and it was, it was kind of exciting. In this great big meeting, this project was being presented by Dr. Marine as so I thought it was in this national meeting.
While she's writing that, did you want to see this, anything about it in particular, that 100 that went to A&E? Or do you think we've had too many?
No,
Did I make you a copy of that, or did
I came back last night.
I think I made you a copy of it.
Oh, yeah, that was,
We had some pre-meetings in other groups.
just as a point of information, in case you get some questions from various members of the organization, 100 letters, some with signatures, no addresses, went to the ANA in regard to principles of legislation relating to public funds for nursing education, advocates that public funds should be made available only to associate, baccalaureate, and master's programs. I would like to strongly protest these principles in view of the fact that in 67-68 academic year, 728 diploma programs graduated more than twice as many nurses as all the other nursing programs combined. And since 1958, the number of diploma program graduates has increased by approximately 3,000. These educational programs supply 63% of the nation's graduate nurses. This legislation is irresponsible in view of the need for nurses and the commitment of nurses to provide care to people. B, this legislation was made without providing the membership an opportunity to consider the effect of such action, and membership involved at decision-making levels is essential to every organization in these times. I do not feel that legislation of this kind could solve the health manpower needs of this country. Now, these letters went off to the ANA, signed by various and sundry people. They were all mimeographed on this sheet, and we got notes from the head office about it. The board of directors of the GSNA decided to take no action on these letters.
They were from new graduates. That particular one had not taken state board. And They were not members, nor were they eligible for membership. That was, most of them were new graduates from one of the hospitals in Atlanta.
There seems to be some real misunderstandings on the part of some of these graduates as to exactly what this legislation is trying to bring about. So we'll just wait and see what happens. But I think the head office was a little bit concerned that they did come from our district.
Without going through the proper channels.
Yeah, without
We
going.
found out that they had not,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
and they will stand state board in November. And most of them were from one school, the same school, and some of the instructors, when I called A&A after I found out they were not members, you know, when I called, she said, well, we found that one of them had put her name as an instructor of that particular school. So that's where it came from.
You'd rather not say which school?
Well, it was Georgia Baptist, and Ms. Ransbotham was very unhappy because Miss Overton had written a letter to Miss Carroll about it, you know, just giving the facts. And we reminded Ms. Ransbotham that since letters went there, we were a little embarrassed that 5th District in the state didn't know about it, and that they did not go through the proper channels in the first place. And in the second place, we were still more embarrassed that the director of the school and the director of the hospital were neither members of 5th District, all the organizations. And reminded her she hadn't been a member for several years, so she says they're going to come in as members. I mean, it was a nice conversation. I mean,
So these people,
but she
I'd
was-
like to send them,
yes,
you know,
there were 100 of them.
is there any way we can get them?
I expect so.
A lot of them didn't have addresses.
None of them had addresses on them. That's
We
the
could just get the
trouble.
names of them, maybe we could find out from Judge Bed through the
That's not even proper without addresses.
No, and they're not
No.
members of anything. You see, they wrote us and wanted, there's the envelope on the back.
You see, all of them are, well, many
Many
of them
grad-
had GN.
GN, and we
Which
figured
is
that
not
graduate
right.
nurse. And I checked the membership, and no membership had it, you see. So then I found out that I said, well, how about, she says, GN, why don't you put and see she's a graduate nurse? And she said, yes, she's supposed to take a state board in whenever it is, November, this past week, I think it was.
Well, I really think this is irresponsible in terms
Well,
of
I felt it's giving an image to these
conveying
new
that
people.
these people are membership. It implies that they are members. And I think that's irresponsible.
Well, the letter did go from the state to Miss Captain Carroll, which was very nice, and just stated that, you know, they were not members of the 5th District Association. And it was, the letter was quite all right. And Ms. Ransbotham thought, well, she ought to have been consulted first. I said, well, don't you think as a courtesy you should have sent a letter to the state and the district so we'd know what was going on as far as courtesies are concerned, because...
But there's no way of finding out, you know, why
We can
and
get
how
the
this
list of these new
originated.
graduates. Just as soon as the state
Or what-
board, they'll give them to us
what's
from the state
behind it
board.
all.
And we'll have the addresses there.
There's one more announcement.
We always do.
Just to inform you of the development of a new national organization entitled the American Association of Cardiovascular Nurses. They had their first meeting September 22nd, 1969, so it's another meeting that we can send nurses to. And they came up with their bylaws. If any of you are interested,
That's under A&A, though.
yeah, it's under the ANA. In knowing a little bit more about what this organization does, if you're interested in cardiovascular nursing, I have this little sheet of paper with their bylaws on. Does anyone have any announcements? Last chance. We are now adjourned.
Y'all please bring a lot of people to your dinner so we can have a real nice one. Here's something for your little...
Oh,